This will be video number 21 on the odds and ends hit and miss engine. And today I'm going to show how to make the keyways, and these will be tapered keyways. And I'm going to show you how I do that on the flywheel. Because one thing you want to remember is when these two flywheels are on here, the spokes should pretty much line up. Because if it doesn't, it'll show up when it's sitting stationary. You'll see, well, those spokes don't line up. But see, if I just turn it this way, and you stand here and you say, wait a minute, that's not right, you know? So I try to line the spokes up. And the way I do that is just draw a straight line across here. I put a ruler on it, or anything that's straight. Come over here, Jim. Like this, and I line it up with two spokes. I either line it up with this part of the spoke or this part of the spoke. Doesn't matter, and try to hit the middle. So if I did these, and I just scratch a line on there, and that's where I do the, might as well just do it. I gotta make sure I got the right side here. No. See, this one has the governor on it. So this is the left side of the engine. So this side has to be out when you scribe the line, because you're going to drive the broach in from this side. So I would go, say, here and here. So that would be right about like that. So I put the key on one of those lines. I'd probably take the bottom line, but it actually wouldn't matter. Now, the other side is this flywheel, and that's going to be the same way. So if they were lined up like this on the engine, this is going to be the outside. And I want to put the line in the same place. I've got it centered on this. So I'm just going to eyeball that and center it. If it's a tiny bit out, you won't notice it, but if it's way off, you know, 20 or 30 degrees, you will notice it when you look at the engine from the side. Okay, so that's pointing at this one, and this is pointing at, oh boy, got to get my glasses. This one is pointing at this one. So I'm going to put a little mark on it so I can see it easier. That's there. It's this one here and this one here. Now, this has to be tapered. The shaft is straight here, and this is tapered. So how do you make this at a 1/4 inch per foot taper? And I'll run you through that. It's pretty easy to do. You do that in the milling machine. And what I use is a long, I have a 2 foot long one. You could use a 1 foot one, but because I have this 2 foot, it's much easier. What you want to do is get a foot here, and I'm using 18 6 inches. So I'll put 3/8 on this end. I'm going to try 5/8, which is 6/25 on this. Now what we've got here is a taper of a 1/4 inch per foot. Because what I have to do is put a piece in here and mill it down to that taper. So that's how I did it. I put this one at 6, right on the edge, on this edge, and this one at 18 on the same edge. So it's on this outside edge, both cases. And you see what I end up with is a 1/4 inch per foot taper right here. And I made this. This is a 1/4 inch per foot taper on it. It's marked. So then I use this to make this. What I did was made this is a square piece. It's parallel exactly this way and the right length of the jaws. And it fits in there, you'll see. But what you end up with is this is the taper right here. So I put this on top of there and mill this with an end mill down the side so I get the taper. I'll show you that. I put that taper in there, this in here, and I would just go along this edge and taper that. See that? So once I take this out and drop that down in there, I can now put a piece of key stock in there and mill it. Now if I put this key stock in here, you see I've already done some of the taper on it. I can put that in there like this. And I can crimp it, and if it's down all the way, you're going to get that 1/4 inch per foot taper on that key stock. So in order to have a tapered thing, you also have to have this tapered. And this is for the brooch. You want to take actually more out of this end than that end. So this is tapered that way. See if I can show that. I guess it doesn't show, but it's tapered down that way. So this would be the side of the flywheel that you would start the taper on. And this is the thickest part, and this is the thinnest part. This part is going to cut here. And this part is the thin part. As you enter, you want to take more out than you do out of this end. And I'll broach the flywheel. I'm going to ream that just a little bit because it doesn't quite fit in there. Well, I don't know if you can see that line that I put there on there, and I just line that up exactly and then put my broach in there and make sure it's centered. And broach it. Oh, I got to start this somewhere else, I guess. When I can't start that in the broach because of the height, I use the drill press just to start it. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this. I just want to drive that down in there enough so I can get it into the press. That goes real easy. Okay, now I can come over here. This arbor press has very little head height. I'm going to go down with it. I'm going to put a shim behind it. Approach it again. I actually probably have to start this again in the drill press. I don't know if that'll go down in there far enough or not. Or maybe. Not quite. Which is pretty easy at first. See how deep that is. Now you don't want to push this all the way through at one swipe, because what happens is if this is a little bit crooked, you can break your broach. So you just come off of it, you go about a 1/2 inch and release it, then do it again. That'll give the broach a chance to straighten itself out. I don't know if that's deep enough or not. We'll check it. Okay, now what I have is a key that I started for the other one. I want to see if this will start in there. It should go in there a little ways. I might have to take this a little deeper. Yeah, I think I will. Not quite deep enough. So I'm going to go in there with 2 shims. So I'm going to put 2 twin. These are 25 thousandths a piece, so there's 50 thousandths. And then I'm going to put the broach in the right way, maybe. And I'll just have to restart that probably in the drill press. I'm going to push that down about 3 teeth. Okay. Like I said, You go down a little bit and release it. Down a little bit and release it. That's in case the broach isn't exactly straight. It won't break it off. If it was crooked, tiny bit crooked, and you went all the way through, it would snap the broach in half. Now that's plenty deep, I know it is. Now this goes on this way. Now, this is the key for the other one that's already done. But as you see, I can go in there about halfway. And what you'd want to do is measure how much more you want to put it in. I would want to go in there about 3/8 more because I have a 1/2 inch. I want to leave an 1/8 inch for pulling the keyway. So I'd want to go in there another 1/2 inch. I mean another 3/8 of an inch. So I know this will start in there and it's 90 thousandths. You know, I'm just going to cut off a piece of ground stock. This is exactly a 1/16 inch thick. And I'm making it a 1/4 inch wide and it's a 1/16 thick. I'm going to retrieve that from underneath here. There you go, right there. There it is. That's the piece. I gotta take the burrs off of it. Blank, and I'm gonna put it right in there, and I've got to stop here so I can put it back in exactly the same place every time. Make sure there's no chips under it. Nice and clean. And just crimp it in there. And that's it. Whoop, I gotta go a little further this way. There. And that's it. We'll cut it from that. So I've got to take this blank and you've got to cut it down to 90 thousandths on this hinge and be about approximately the length that I want for the flywheel, which is 1 inch. So according to my math, I have to come down on this end 164 thousandths to leave 90 at this end. And that will be my starting point to fit the key. So put this in there and make sure that jig is, this is the jig I showed you before. And what I've got to do is put a fresh piece of double sticky tape on here so it can't move. Because if that slides back and forth, that changes your dimension a little. So I'm going to just change the sticky tape. So I'm just going to put that in there and center it with the sticky tape on it and hold it down tight without pinching my fingers. Squeeze it tight, and I think it should stay there after I do that. Yeah, we don't want that to slide. So now, another thing you really have to watch out for is chips here. Absolutely no chips in that, because you're talking 1/2 thousandth here or less for your dimension, and it's going to move a lot. So you keep that nice and clean. And I start with this probably somewhere near the middle and force it down. Make sure it's down nice. And tighten it. Then I'm going to put a stop there so I know where it is. I probably should just put the stop there first. Well, that's actually almost perfect. Let me just loosen that and slide it a little bit. Okay, that's against the stop. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is take that down, what did I say, 164, and I should have about 90 left. And I want to move 1 inch. I'll take probably 10 for the first cut. Just going to lay a ruler down there so I get my 1 inch. I'm going to go 7/8 with that for the first cut. See, I can always go further. There's no problem. Actually, I can go exactly 1 inch because I can always cut the end off and go further. So we'll start right out with the exact size, 1 inch. I'm just going to set the stop here. So you have the stop at the same place every time. Taking cuts of about 20. See how much I've got to go. But with this stop and that thing, it's going to go exactly the same place every time. And you got to make sure there's absolutely no chips under it whatsoever. You keep that positively clean. The tiniest chip can cause a problem. You need to go another 40 thousandths. That's 2 more cuts. I'm going to make sure there's nothing on the bottom here. Chips. Slide that up against the stop. So we're going to take 40 off. Take 20 at a time. I'm going to have to file the edges of this to get the edge. It won't quite fit in there. Got a tiny bit of a burr on it, or more than a tiny bit. That should just start in there now. And it does. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap that in with a hammer so it stops. That feels solid there. Pretty solid. Okay, so now I'm going to measure this distance from this notch to the flywheel, which is 7/16. So I want to leave probably 1/8 inch out there. So I want to go 5/16. I want that to go in 5/16 more. And the way we do that, so let me take this out of here first. The way I get it out is just pry it so it just starts out. It should fall right out of there after that. Whoop, yeah, it does. So our little jig, like this, and making sure there's no chips under it. I don't see any, but I'm going to rub the brush there anyway, just to make sure. Okay, so I want to take that to go in 5/16 more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ruler back up here with a known distance, if I can, and I'm going to move this ahead 5/16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop. Got to go a little bit more here. 5/16. So that's 5/16 in. Okay, so I make sure that's down. I got a 5/16 gap here. And now I'm not going to change the head height at all. Actually, I'm going to lock the head. The head is locked. So because I moved it 5/16 that way, it's going to take off the right amount, which is maybe a 1/2 thou. see this very little cut there. And it's not going to stop here. I got to stop before I hit it. And there it is. Now doing it this way, if you took off too much and it went in too far, you can just put it back in and take a little more off of here to leave your gap, because you need that gap to take the key out with. See how I do that? Just pry that loose. It should come right out of there. Slide the flywheel out further. That's pretty tight. Now, I'd like to have a little more gap than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut it back here, put it back in the same spot, and cut it back here some. Give myself a little more gap. Oh, I didn't quite get there. Where is it? Whoop. I bent it. You got to make sure you get that screwdriver up in there all the way. There it goes. It's moving. Now I'm going to just tap it to get the bend out of it. So I had a 5/16 gap here. I got to redo that. I have to just recheck that. Yep, that's 5/16 exactly. You got to make sure that that's down. I think it is down all the way. Close this. So that's all I'm taking off of there. What I did is gave myself a little more gap to get a hold of it. So now I'm going to saw this thing off about that long. So the difference between the two ends is only 10/1000ths of an inch. Yeah, 10/1000ths. So that one measures, well, 84. And up here it measures, oh, it's less than 10,000, 85. So it's 9/1000ths of an inch. So when I drive this in there, the final time, I'll drive that in there pretty tight. I'm going to do it in there loosely this time, just to show you another little trick. I know that'll go all the way in, but I'm not going to do it. Where's my tool? Here it is. Now once you have it down to size, you can take this tool and pull it right out of there. Just a little special knocker, and I made it so I can fit the thing. Now, this tab on the end could have been wider. A little bit, but that'll work very nicely. So I've got this side done. So that's about it on the keyways. I hope you understood it. This is the first piece you have to make is this. And then I usually make a couple of shims. And you can make these of different thicknesses, so you can do that to any thickness you want. And that allows you to go in deeper into the flywheel. And you can put a wider key that's stronger. But you can't change what the depth here, but you can go into the flywheel more. When you broach it in, you can just add a couple of shims and go in deeper, and that would allow you to make the key thicker. Now, I used a 16th inch key on these flywheels. I should have used I think it's 5/32, 3/32, isn't it? My glasses again. Yeah, 3/32. 3/32 broach. Now a 3/32 broach and a 16th is about all you need for model making. I have a 1/8, but I've very seldom used it. It's quite a big key. There's the three of them there. And all of these you can make. You can buy those too, but you can't buy them as a taper. So I've made up all of these through the years for different engines. Some of them are tapered, some of them aren't. If you don't want to do the tapered, you can just put a straight keyway in there and put a screw to hold it down from here and just tighten it up. I like the tapered ones. It's just a preference. It's no better. It does hold the flywheel a little solider, but it isn't. It holds it solider this radially, I guess, this way, but it doesn't hold it any solider this way. So that'll be the end of video 21, and next week I hope to make the spools and the little lever that engages with the you call it the rocker arm here, and that'll be just about all of the parts except for the weights. The weights for the we have a couple of things here to do. We have the weights. We also have these pieces here and the brackets. So we got a few more pieces to do. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. Thank you very much.